Alright, now before we go any further, I just want to address this error of services out, that is the AuthService.Js, whereby we have the assign object to variable. Now this error simply means that we have, it basically means that the module default export, which is this one here, the one whereby we are exporting these different modules here, they are different, they are, in other words, they are unnamed. And because they are unnamed, that's why the object which is assigned to variable, it has to be exported as a module default. So in other words, what we mean here is that we need to name this default module here, because when you look at the others here, they are we have something like export default, then Navbar, something like that. So that is what we need to do here. So what we can do here is we can come here, and then where we have the register here, and just do something like this. We can just have this one like this. So here I'll define const out, and then here we pass the service, which will be equal to, so we'll have this. So basically this one will now be pushed that way, and then here we'll have the register. Now in this case, register will not be equal to this one, but we'll have it as this way, like that. And then here this one is not going to be semicolon, and that way. And then here we'll also need to do the same thing for login. So the login will be this way. So that's what we're going to have there. This is also going to be this way. And then the logout functionality here is also going to have the same thing. So this one will be that way. And then here this will be, so this one will be, so this still has to be that way. Then we can leave some space, right? And then here, now here once we have this one, so this one is going to be, so here we perform the Axios, which is the request for logout, and then the headers, and then of course our out. So now here we get to have this comma, and then here we will have this one, as well as here we're going to have this one, and then here I'll introduce another one, because remember on the first one there we add brackets here. Now here you're going to export the out service object as the default export, and that's where now this issue is going to go away. So here I'll have the out service like that. So the out service is going to be exported that way, then this one is going to be that way. And you can see now the error has gone. So what happens here is that we have assigned an object to variable. So instead of directly exporting the object with what we call the anonymous function, and of course it is the anonymous functions are the login, the register, as we add, we have assigned it to a variable. So we have assigned the object to a variable named, which is the out service here. And then here now we come and export the variable, and then now that means that now we can use the export default out service here. So this one now becomes a variable, and then now we export it. We now pass the out service object to a variable, which is now the out service, and that's what we have. So that error should go that way, and we still have our code as it is. Now in this section here, I want us to deal with the state of our application. For example, when the person is logged in, you can see this is what we have. Now when you look at this one, you can see here, for example, when the person comes here and is logged in like this. So here we have at gmail.com, and then here we have password. I believe that's what we add, right? So once I'm logged in, we need to have a logout button here instead of login and register again. So this is what we call handling the authentication state of our application. So we want to handle whether the user is logged in and their token in our application. And of course, to achieve this one, you can use what we call the React context or global state management libraries like Redux within React.Js. In Vue.js, we used what we call the Vuex. That is what we use to handle the state. So in React.Js here, we're going to keep it simple. We are going to use something we call the out context, which is going to provide us with the authentication related data for our application. So what I'm going to do here is I want you to come on where we have the source here. You create a folder. This folder, you're going to give it context, and then inside there we're going to have out. Sorry, this is should be okay. So that is what we have. So it is source context, which is the folder, and then the out context.js. Now this one is the file that is going to unload the authentication state of our application. So here we're going to have import React, and then here we're going to say import React, and then yeah, it's context. And here we have use state. What's the use state? And then this is from. So let's have this from React like this, and then here we are going to have import AuthService, which of course we have created before. That is what we have there. So we import the AuthService for login and logout actions, and then here I want us here we have export const, and here we'll have out context, which is equal to create context, and then here we're going to pass null. So what we are doing here, we are creating a context for our authentication data, of course when the person is logged in or logged out. Now here we're going to have another export here, which is going to be AuthProvider. Then we're going to set it to be equal to so here inside you're going to pass children like that. So what we do here is that we have the AuthProvider, which is going to provide us with the authentication related data, and the methods that we are going to use within our children. So here you can see we are passing the children here, and then this AuthProvider here is providing us with the authentication data. So from there we have this, we're going to have this sign, and then here we'll have context user, then here we have set user, which is equal to use state. Then here we're going to pass empty. Now here you're going to have a function to handle user login, and here I'm going to have const login, which is equal to user data. And then here we're going to have, so here inside you're going to have set, and then here we pass the user data. And what we are doing here is that first of all we define a function to handle the login, to handle that is the user login, and then here we are going to set the user data in the state. So which is the user data? Of course we know this is when the person is logged in or logged out. So here, since we define this one within our use state here, so basically what we are now doing here is we set the user data within our state, and then here we can now go here and save the user data within our local storage for persistence. So here we have local storage, then you say set item, and then here we have user like this, and then here we're going to have JSON. So here we'll have going to have JSON.stringify, and then here we're going to pass user data like that. Now once we have that one, we can now come here and define a function, which is the logout. So the function to handle user logout, so this is going to be this way. So here we have this is equal, and then here we have, so here we have local storage item, which is user, then we have local storage.remove item, which is token, like this. And then once we do that, so what we are doing here, we of course we are removing the user data from the local storage, and then here we now set the user, which is null, like this. So that is what we have. And then now we can now call out the function from the out service and catch any errors. So here we're going to have out service, then dot logout. So this is going to be dot catch. So this is what you're going to have. So here we'll have console log, and then here we're going to say log out failed. So in case you're logging out and there's an error, so this is what we are setting out here. So we have the const logout for logging out, and then these are the different. We remove the token from our local storage, and then we set the user to null, and then here we catch any errors that we have, and that is when we define the out service.logout.catch. So that is what we have. And then lastly here, we can just come here and so let me end this one with something like that. And then here we're going to have return. So here we have return, and then here we'll have AuthContext.Provider, which is equal to, so we have login and then logout. Okay, so that is what we have. And then here now we are going to pass the children, and that is what we have in here. So basically what this means is that the AuthContext.Provider, this one is used to when you want to make the user, or in other words, it will make the user login and logout available to any child component that we're going to pass here. And of course here we know we have our login, we have our register. So that is what we have there. And then here we can close this one this way, and then this one can close it this way. We need this one, extra one. Let me just see. So here we needed to close this one before we use. So because this is what the function for login, and then now the function for logout here. All right, so that is what we have in there. And now we can go to, now we can use the AuthProvider, because now we have created, remember the AuthProvider that we have just defined here. So here what we can do is within our App.Js, we can just come here, and what we are going to do here is we're going to use the AuthProvider. So on the return here, so let's just come here and use the AuthProvider like that, and then here we close it that way. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it just somewhere here. It should be below here, the router. So we are going to have it that way. And then here I'll need, I believe this one has already been imported, okay, from the out context. All right, so that is what we have inside here. So what we can now do is to render the login and register buttons based on the user's authentication status. Now this one would simply mean when the user is logged in or logged out. So what we can do here is, let's go to our Navbar.Js, and we need to do some changes here. So one of them is going to be this one here. So we have the constant navbar, and then we have the rest of the navbar links. So what we can do here is we are going to define some things. So before the return here, this is what I'm going to have. So here I'm going to have const navbar, and then here I'm going to, so I need to have this, and then inside there I'm going to have variable here, which is navigate, which is equal to use navigate in that way. And then here we're going to have a function, which is going to be function, function and logout, like that. So this is what we have, and then remember I'm going to close this this curly braces. Then inside there we're going to have logout. Sorry, this should be logout that way. So the logout will call the logout function from the out context, and then here, so once we log out, then we're going to navigate this person to the home page. So I'm going to use the navigate like this, and then here I'm going to have this one this way. So navigate to the home page after we log out the person. So here, first of all, I'm going to have that one, and then here I'm going to do some changes on the render. So this render here basically has this different sorry about these errors, but they're going to go out. So it has just the different links to the different pages. So here we are now going to render this authentication status. For example, the home part is going to remain the way it is, but now for these other ones here, this is what we're going to have. So for example, I'm going to start with something like this. So we are going to have user, and then here I'm going to say, so I'm going to say if the user is logged in, then show him the add product component or the logout options. So that is what we're going to have. So I'm going to have these two signs here just for giving us space, and then here we're going to have link. So we're going to have link to, and then this is equal to add. Then here we're going to have add product like that, and then here we're going to have a button which is going to be on click, and then here the on click is going to click the undo submit, and then here we have the logout like that. So basically here we have said that we have the two items, the login and the logout. And of course, since we had started with this one here, this part here, this one, we'll also need to come here and close this one like that. And then here I'm going to have this brace here, and I'm going to have this other one here, which will now give me the other option that we need to have within our application. So if no user is logged in, then you are going to have the show login and the register components, which are these two, login and register. So here I'm going to have link, should be the caps link to, and then here we're going to have equal to /login. Then we close this, and then that's what we're going to have. And then here we have link to, and then this is equal to /register. So that is what we have. And then here, actually now whereby we have the login here, we're also going to have this like this. So we are going to also have this one, which is also going to end somewhere here. So I'm going to paste it there. And then here we need to have this brace. I'm going to put a brace there, and that's like that. And then within the navbar, we're going to have this one and this one here like that. Now for this error to go away, we also don't need this one. So we don't need that one there. So we just need to have the login and register, and then this one should come here like that. And then here we're only going to have one. Okay, so now we are remaining with only these two errors. How is it that I have two navbars here? This const and this one, they look the same. So it's only one that we should be having. It's only one that we should be having. Then we have another one, user is not defined, on line 14. Sorry, there's also this one here. So the const navigate here, we also need to come here and import the user, because now it's saying it's not been recognized. So user, and then logout. Let's give a space there. So this one is equal to use context. So we're importing this one from use context. Then inside there, we're going to pass the out contexts like that, and then I close this one. So basically this means that what we need to do here is that we are what we are doing here is that we are just using the login and the logout from the auth context within our given application. And so what we can do here is on the top here, we need to import this. So here we need to import auth context from, so that's what we need to have. Okay, so that is what we have. So take note of this. Just to recap again, it's very simple, because here we are defining a function which is navbar, which is going to display all the navigation links. And then here, of course, we define the function for, of course, the navbar. Then we have the logout, which is this one here. Once the person is logged out, we return him to the home page. Then we have the return part here, which is now checking here if the user is logged in. So if he's logged in, then he's able to see the add product component and also the logout button. If he's not logged in, then this is the part, the next part that will be displayed. And that's the understanding behind this given auth context. And then, of course, we have imported it within our app.js. And now what we need to do is that we need to add a restrict access to the add product page so that no one can now come and, of course, access it if it's not logged in. So we need to come back to our login.js here, and within our login.js here, we are going to have these changes that is going to be done here. Now, one of them is going to be, of course, we're going to import going to have auth context from the auth context like that. And you can see now it is not discoverable because we have not used it. So what we need to use is, whereby here that we have the set password here, we're going to define the function here, which is going to be this way. It's going to be login. And then here we're going to say not use state, but we're going to say use context like that. And then here we're going to pass this use context like that. Basically what we are saying here, we are using the login function from the auth context, and we know this is what we are talking about, the one that is the login here, which is setting the data, and of course the local storage, of course local storage, of course, within our application is being set as well. So here we have login from the auth context, and then here next we are going to have is the function that which is handling the logout. So here this is what we also have. So this is what we are having. So where we have the const response, you can see here we were returning console.log here. But now in this case, we are not going to have the console.log here. Now what you're going to have here is what is this one. So I'm going to remove the console.log, which was just login as the editors. So what you're going to have is login and then response data. Now what this does is that it updates the global auth state within the user's data, and this user's data is what we are getting from our auth context here. So when we change it to that way, it is now going to globally update the auth state. So it's handling it globally here. So we are going to have it that way, and then the rest is going to remain the same within our given application. All right. Now there's one more thing that you're going to do. Now within our Axios instance here, we are going to since we are using the Axios instance here, we will want to configure it to automatically include a token in all requests when they are available. So here we can do what we call the Axios interceptor, which is going to include the token in our headers upon initialization. So this is what I mean. So here, whereby we have the Axios instance here, we are just going to come down here, and then I'm going to define const token, which is equal to local storage dot get item, and the item we want to get here is the token, and then here we're going to say if, and then we pass the token. So here we're going to say instance dot default. So this is instance dot default dot headers dot common, and then here we pass authorization, which is going to be equal to backticks, and then bearer, then the $sign here, and then here we pass the token like that. Okay, and then here we need to have a backtick, which is going to be that way. So this backtick here is not supposed to end here, and then here we end it that way, and then we export default to the Axios instance. So basically here, this one is going to allow the Axios to automatically include the token to all requests. So any request that we're going to make, the token is going to be available, because the Axios instance is going to be, of course, getting the token and then, of course, adding it within our headers. And that's what this part of the code does here. Just to recap again about the login, here we enable this login response.data to make our application, that is our login, to be available within our out state. That is, in other words, to update the global out state with the user's data here, because here we are returning response dot data. Okay, so let's just reload this again. See, there's some errors here. So what kind of errors do we have here? So here we have state is not a function within the out context. So let's just check this. This is on line 7. Oh, sorry, this is use state. So this is should be use state. So there's a typo there. So this is, just type it again. This is use state. So use state should be that way, and then use state is never defined. So let's look at the instances of K. So this is where we also have another issue here. So we need to have use state that way. All right, now let's go ahead and log in somebody. So here I'm going to type this email at gmail.com, and then here you're going to have a password like that, and then you log in. Now you can see when you're logged in, we can now see the add product component, of course, and then here we have the logout button here. So that means here I can come here and log out like that, and then I'm taken to the home page. And that's now the login and the logout functionality. Of course, if I come here and log in again here, so let's give the same email here like this. So that means here I can type password, get to log in. Here I can type product such as laptop. Let's say here, say HP, and then the price, let's say, is $300. And then I submit this. So once I submit this, the product has been added to our, which is this one here. And of course, as we know, I can come and log out of this application. All right, now let's go ahead and add CSS.